going to bring some friends with me.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, he says, I'm going to bring some friends with me. So I said, oh, I'm going to bring whoever you want to bring. That's fine. He goes, I didn't realize he was taking the whole damn cast of the film with him. That's beautiful. Hey, you
Hello,
guys
everyone.
Yeah, go big.
How are you guys?
Yeah, go big or go home.
Right?
Exactly.
Yes.
But Brandon, why did you put the little short people in the back? You should bring them up to the front.
Why do you think I'm up here in the front?
Absolutely. Good stuff. All right, you guys. I'm Angelo, also known as the Mad Dog. This is Amelia. She's the pit
Hello.
bull.
Hello.
Kind of like a 12-pound around here. We are the Mad Dog and the Pit Bull. We are going live now.
Awesome. Let's do it.
It's Thursday night and we are live. Hello, everybody. Welcome to Wrestling with the Future Radio Network. I am the Mad Dog, joined as I am each and every week by the Pitbull, Amelia Pitbull Chapman. And we are live nationwide and around the world. We've got one hell of a show tonight. Let me tell you that. Brandon Keeton is a friend of mine from Facebook. I haven't known Brandon long. I said, listen, bud, why don't you come on the show and we'll talk up this new little film you have. He said, I'd love to come on and we'll set a date right around the premiere of the New York Independent Film Festival. I said, let's do it. I get a call from Brandon on Facebook today. He says, I'm going to take some friends with me. All right, we'll bring a couple of friends with you. Absolutely. He comes to the show tonight, folks. The entire cast of Turbo Cola is joining us. And we applaud Brandon for that.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
How are you guys doing? How's everybody? Brandon, how are you, my brother?
I'm doing all right. How you doing?
I'm fantastic. I saw the film last night. I saw the entire film. Great. It's a great film. It's a sleeper film for sure, but it's making some waves and it's knocking on some doors, as I understand. The film Turbo Cola. One critic described it as a cross between Clerks and Dazed and Confused, and not a bad comparison actually. It is an unusual film in that it's set back in 1999 at the height of the millennium, the craziness of all that. If you're old enough to remember, the world was supposed to end on New Year's Eve, 1999. At least Austin Brooks thought so anyway. Anyway, so Brandon, how did this film make its way to you, my friend?
I'm also an actor, and I was in a play reading. This was originally a play written by a wonderful playwright, Samantha Odie. And as we're reading the play, I thought to myself, this has got the bones to a good movie. So I sent the script to Luke. He was the one director that I knew. And he said, yeah, this has got some good bones to it. We have to change a couple things around, but yeah, I think we can film this. And a couple weeks later, we were casting. Yeah.
It's a remarkable story, my understanding, based on the play New Year's Eve at the Stop and Go. Mm-hmm. Who in earnest, who wrote the screenplay for it? Was Luke? I see you're right there in the center. Were you the head writer on this project? also you directed. We should tell people Luke Covert is also the director of this amazing little film.
Yes, there were 3 writers. So Samantha is responsible for the entire screenplay, all the characters, most of the emotional arcs in the story, and then she did a few drafts of this screenplay for the movie, and then we brought in myself and then another writer, Matthew Kiskis, and I did the final sort of 2 drafts that were what became Turbo Cola, the movie. So.
I have to tell you that I love the names here. Kiss, Toy, and Covert. It's either a cheap law firm or great porno names. I'm trying to figure out.
Or both.
It works for me, brother. I love the name. I watched the film last night for the second time. It's really a different kind of movie, largely because you make great use of the music of the time. Who did the film score?
Yeah, we used the soundtrack of this band called Arlen Gun Club, and they're an awesome sort of grungy, punk rock, angsty, kind of current modern band that actually wrote us a song, and then we used 6 or 7 other songs of theirs. And then the rest of the music, kind of score music, was done by a Philadelphia musician friend of mine named Paul Talos. And he did this kind of, bleep bloop trip hop Dust Brothers thing that would sound like Fight Club or The Social Network or something like that.
I tell you what, I was incredibly impressed with the music score. They captured the spirit of the times. Again, the film takes place in 1999, right at the height of all the Y2K craze. Up on the screen, you'll see the cast members. I see a couple of those familiar faces on camera with me. Nick Stoser, you are the man of the hour. I understand. So your character is Austin Brooks. Get me inside the head. What is it? What is it?
Austin Morris.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry.
We can be Brooks.
Brooks
Brooks
is
good. Doesn't change anything.
Austin's the important part. We got that.
Yep.
Okay. So, and then I hope I didn't butcher up your last name, Stoser, right?
You got it right first try. That's great.
Okay, cool. Okay. I don't want to screw it up. Jarrett Spears, Jordan Denning, Landon Tavernier, Brooke Maroon, Anthony. I'm going to screw this one up so bad, Notarelli.
You're so close. Notarelli.
Notarelli. Oh, there you go. Aaron Nordseth, Brandon Keeton, of course, Brandon, my buddy. Eric Neal and Michelle Hall. Special place in my heart for Michelle Hall because that's my sister's name. So who do we have with us tonight? I said there's 6 or 7 of us, right, Brandon?
Yeah, go ahead. Let's start with the most. We'll get one of them. Yeah, we're starting with you, Dennis.
Okay.
Dennis Thomas. I was the cinematographer, actually.
Okay.
I'm Jared Spears. I played Swearsky.
Yes, an interesting character to say the least. I grew up with a guy very much like Swearsky.
I grew up with a lot of them.
Oh, we all know Swearsky.
Yeah, his name was Eddie Wallach, and Eddie Wallach was Swearsky, brother. He was incarnate Swearsky. This guy was stoner through and through, and if he's alive, he's still maybe. The gentleman right directly behind you, Brandon, the one that your shoulder is covering up. Yes. What is your name, young man?
Landon Tavernier. I played.
Okay. You're the guy with the gun.
Yeah.
That's me.
That's the guy with the gun. Okay. All right. I want to make sure I know who everybody is here. And the pretty young lady with the flowing locks behind Luke.
Hey, I'm Brooke Maroon. I played Jennifer.
Oh, you're Brooke.
Yes.
Oh, how you doing, Brooke?
I'm doing so well. How are you doing?
I tried to merge your name with Nick's. I'm sorry.
Nick Sosa, Brooke Maroon.
They're next to each other.
Nick Maroon.
So for people who don't know, the film is based on a stage play called a New Year's Eve at the Stop and Go, and it's an interesting characterization in that everybody is kind of like making plans to go out on this New Year's Eve, except one kid who's got other plans. He plans to do something special. I'm not going to give away the plot, but he's going to do something very special for himself on New Year's Eve. Talk to me about Nicholas. Talk to me about, first of all, getting into the head of the times. It's 1999, and you're playing a character, I'm guessing, a lot younger than yourself.
At the time, I was. How old am I in it? That's actually a great question. I've been saying 19, 20.
Yeah, 20.
I was 21 at the time, and 1999 was the year I was born. So I vaguely remember, not actually, but getting into it. I mean, I talked a lot with just people like my cousin James. I talked to a lot because he was, he grew up during that period of time. Learned a lot about the 90s from him. I remember actually talking to you the very first time that we hopped on a solo call. You honestly were telling me a bunch of different things about the 90s that I was listening to and being like, okay, let's listen, let's take notes. But also just, I mean, Luke, the script. There's so much different inspiration to take. It was pretty easy, honestly.
Yeah.
This
is an interesting cast choice. Luke, did you have a say in? Obviously, you're the director. Did you have a say in the casting in this film? And if so, how much? What were you looking for?
Brandon and I did the casting together. Brandon,
okay.
Yep. So we put out a casting call online and got 1,300 submissions from people.
Wow.
So it was just blew us away because I didn't know if we could find actors who could do it. I didn't know if they'd be in the project at this price range. We didn't have a lot of money to pay everybody. And so Brandon and I sat in his martial arts academy and watched on the TV just tape after tape after tape after tape. And that was after brutally slicing through people's headshots, just making a split-second decision of like, yes, no,
Yeah.
And so
Swipe left.
Yeah, exactly. So
Brandon, do you like working under that kind of pressure?
I'm used to it. I don't know whether or not I like it,
Right.
but I'm used to it and I handle it pretty decently, I guess.
Yep.
We should tell people that Brandon's a former U.S. Marine and currently a martial arts instructor. He recently made a transition to acting, producing, and directing upon his discharge from the military. By the way, thank you for your service.
Yes,
and
thank you so much for your
grateful
service.
that. I'm also very grateful that you decided to explore the cinema because you've got some talent in you, young man. You really do.
Well, thank you for calling me young man.
Well, you're a hell of a lot younger than I am, brother.
I shaved today, so I look a little younger than I normally do. So,
Yeah, I did too. I shaved the beard off 2 days ago, bro. 2 days ago. I feel naked without it. Amelia Pitbull Chapman, you are up, young lady.
Yes. And I was going to say also, thank you again for your service, Mr. Keeton. Hoorah, as they say, right?
Hoorah.
For the Marines. Hoorah. I had a question for the actors. How many of you is the first time in front of the camera? Or
as an actor?
As an actor,
It was my first time in a feature film. Yeah.
Okay. And what about you guys back there?
Have you done?
I had done one feature film prior and quite a few short films.
Okay.
It's my first feature. I've done shorts and background acting a few times, so been on and off set. Yeah.
I actually have one film credit to my name here.
Mm-hmm.
I did a walk-on Eddie and the Cruisers. Yes.
I'm the only one that gets that reference.
Yeah. You'd have to be old enough. For sure.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Eddie and the Cruisers. So Amelia, go ahead.
Yes.
You're up.
Okay. Yes. My question also is, do you miss, do you miss doing excuse me, I can't even talk today. I've been today's been a long day for me. Do you miss doing martial arts? as well, or do you go back to it? I noticed that you go back to it every now and then and teach as well. Do you miss
do I
that?
do
The
I miss
studio?
owning, do I miss
Mhm.
owning the school?
Yes.
I I do. I miss parts of it.
Mhm.
I still teach there on most Wednesdays, which is
Mhm.
nice. But the day-to-day stuff, it's nice to get away from the grind, so to speak. When you own a business, when you own a small business, you're married to that small business.
Yes.
Your house, especially in the first 5 years,
Oh,
you're
absolutely.
married to it, and your wife becomes your mistress, and your house just becomes a place to sleep.
So
Yes,
let me ask Mr.
Graphic.
Yeah, that was intense.
Let me ask my friend Mr. Jared Spears, my new best friend Jared Spears.
Oh, hey.
I have a kindred spirit with this young man. Was it a stretch for you to get into a head of a stoner, or did it come
Yes.
naturally, Jared?
Oh, you're making them.
It wasn't. I've actually never partook, as they say. But I grew up with so many people like Swearsky. Everything besides him being a stoner is very much who I was growing up. And then anything more than that, I can shout. I knew a guy, Stuart, Phil, Michael, like so many guys just hanging out and just wreaking havoc. Great people, too many memories, and a lot of energy.
Sounds like my high school days.
Yeah, exactly.
Absolutely.
So when the project came to you guys, and anybody can jump in on this, when the project came to you, did you have any idea what Turbo Cola was?
Ooh.
It's kind of make believe.
Well, it wasn't called Turbo Cola when I got it, right?
Oh, interesting.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
It's a working
Oh,
title.
when you guys went through a name change.
Oh yeah.
A couple of them.
Through like
Oh, well,
Really?
let's talk about that.
Oh, wow.
Brandon and Luke, let's talk about that. What the incarnations did you go through?
So I'm gonna pass it to Brooke because she actually called me one night after we were done filming, and I think all the actors were huddled around the phone. I'm waiting to hear my response to what they said, because the movie was originally going to be called New Year's Eve at the Stop and Go, and then it was going to be called Quality Mart, and then it was going to be called 4 or 5 other things, because there was a trademark issue with Stop and Go being a real place, so we couldn't use it.
Yes.
Oh, sure,
We were
yeah.
thrust into the void of trying to figure out a new name, and one night I get a call.
Yeah.
Your turn.
Table read over Zoom, and we were in LA, and they opened it up to us, and Luke was like, "Hey, if anyone has a name idea, lay it on us." And we were like, "All right, we'll think about it." And Landon and I went on a walk afterwards. We were just pitching names back and forth, and then I was like, "Oh, let's just call it Turbo Cola." And then we laughed about it, like we were like, "Oh, that's a stupid idea." And then after about 5 minutes, we were like, "Wait. Actually, the whole movie revolves around these sodas. So why would it not be named Turbo Cola?" And we called Jordan. We were like, "Jordan, what do you think?" She's like, "I dig it." And we hadn't really become friends with them yet, so we didn't include them on this. And then I was like, "I'm going to call Luke right now." It was like 11 p.m. LA time. So that's,
Yeah.
late.
I got news for you, young lady. That little walk and that laugh just made you guys probably $10-15 million.
Yes.
Absolutely.
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 And there's actually a little more to that, because Luke then brought the title to me, and I hated it.
Yeah.
Really?
And then after talking with like 6 distributors, all of them were like, "No, you got to change that title. Got to change that title. You got to make it something short." And at that point, I decided, I called Luke, and I was like, "All right, bastard. All right, you win. Call it Turbo Cola." And then I called Sam, and I said, "Hey, we're going to change the title." And then I let everybody else know, "Hey, all right, we're going to change the title."
Also, I'm not sure I ever got the memo we were changing the title. I just felt like on set, all of us actors came together and just started calling it Turbo Cola.
Manifested.
Great.
He manifested it into existence.
said
Turbo
Cola.
There was never a
Never.
Turbo
Yeah.
Cola script.
That doesn't exist.
We shot the script Quality Mart.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So a big part, a big part of every film nowadays is merchandising. You have a rather interesting merch lineup: T-shirts, cola bottles, movie art that's
Yes.
available for sale. Let's talk. I guess whoever wants to handle this, maybe Luke or Brandon. The merchandising. You know, the cola bottle looked, you know, representative of someone said like maybe Coca-Cola.
Mhm.
If I could compare it to something.
Right.
How much difficulty did you have in trying to market a cola bottle that didn't look like a Coke or a Pepsi?
Well, that's actually a Luke question. I'll turn it over to Luke.
There you
He's the
go.
one that got the bottle.
We sorry, the soda thing was a whole long process because we needed a soda we could shoot close-ups of without getting sued to death.
Yeah.
And so I named it Turbo Cola in the script. I just called it that. And I had worked with a graphic designer, and she agreed to just make us a drink logo and a wrapper and everything. So she and I went back and forth. This is maybe a month and a half before we shot, 2 months before we shot the movie. And she and I went back and forth, and I was sending people, you know, mock-up designs with different colors. People were like, that looks too much like Coke. That looks too much like this. I don't like the yellow, whatever it was. And eventually we landed on this logo, Turbo Cola, and had it printed regionally and then rewrapped it. It took a while to find the right bottle, too, because you can't use
Well,
a
I'll
Pepsi.
tell you what,
Exactly.
brother. It's fucking brilliant.
Yeah.
It really is. It's
Fucking
great.
insane.
I love it.
Yes.
By the way, after this show, I have to rustle up some T-shirts for Amelia and I. So
Yes.
be prepared to send some shirts out.
Deal.
Absolutely,
let's talk a little
please.
bit about character study. This film is really an interesting character study in the mindset of the teenager and young adult of the time. Some of you are, I'm guessing, younger than the parts that you played. And then again, maybe a couple of you are older. I'm not real sure. It's hard to tell these days. So talk to me about getting into the head of that era. That was a really strange time in U.S. history. I mean, just to show you a couple of things here, this was craziness. Gas prices in 1999 were $1.17 a gallon,
Yes.
$1.89 for super. Just to show you, and that was a lot of money back at that time. Little did people know we'd be spending $7-8 a gallon here in New Jersey for gasoline. But
Yes. And how much was the minimum wage? Like $6, something like that back then?
in '99,
Yeah.
maybe 5 1/4.
Yeah, 5 1/4 back then. That was the
Yeah,
minimum
maybe.
wage. Hmm.
You guys old enough to remember that time period? I mean, other than Luke and Brandon.
I knew exactly where I was in 1998.
Me too. I had small kids I was raising. Yep.
Yeah, exactly.
I
Right.
was 6 years
Hmm.
old. I just watched my mom perform on stage, one of her shows. And they actually had, I remember it because we had a New Year's Eve party that night in the actual theater house, all celebrating into the new millennium. So I remember that night as like a big party going into the new millennium. But as a 6-year-old, I had no concept or no idea of what
Yeah.
was.
Who's your mom?
Her name is Trish Tavernier. She was a stage actress in Ohio between the ages of like me being 0 to 8 years old. And then when I was when I just graduated high school, we actually both were in a play together. She actually came back to act for one last show at the very stage that I saw her perform on, and we got to perform together. So
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
That's beautiful. How many of you guys come from entertainment backgrounds? None of you. Really?
Great kids.
Yeah.
None of you come from
Wow.
showbiz backgrounds. That surprises me. It really does. It really, really does. And in fact, I'm kind of like taken aback by this fact.
I was really annoying at family gatherings.
Same.
Yeah, all my mom's friends were saying like, "Oh, I remember when you were this big, and at a party, you'd say, "Want to see me dance? Want to see my show?" And like that's all people remember of me. So
It's awesome.
And now, how many of you young actors are formally trained from, like, I want to say maybe like the actor studio or a school like that? How many of you formally trained? All of you?
I trained here in New York at the Neighborhood Playhouse,
Okay.
which is Meisner's studio, and then I studied at Jeff Daniels Theater in Michigan, and I got to do some work with them. But as far as like getting a degree or like a diploma or a certificate of anything, I don't think any of us.
Interesting. How about you, Nick?
I studied at the Actors Lab of Portland. Shout out to
Okay.
Christina Todd and everyone there from Portland, Oregon. And that was a massive education for me. It was a huge opportunity. Outside that, I've worked at Stella Adler in New York. But
Of course. That's a name from the past. Stella Adler, legendary acting teacher.
Some really great teachers there. Shout out to Todd Thaler, Paul Takis, a couple other people there.
Oh, God. Did you ever train? Any of you guys ever train under Larry Moss?
No, I read his book.
Yeah, Larry's a good guy. He's a really great guy. If you ever get a chance to take some classes with Larry, do it. Do not pass up that opportunity. He's amazing. Great guy. And he'll be a guest on the show soon.
Oh, great.
Cool.
Yeah, we're branching out a little bit. It's interesting. This show has morphed. I'm just going to make you guys laugh for a little bit. My background, you're going to love this shit. My background is professional wrestling.
Nice.
Okay. I spent 29 years as a sound engineer, and I recorded bands, nationally and locally. And I spent a good 25 of that 29 years as a professional wrestling promoter. I worked for companies like World Wrestling Federation and National Wrestling Alliance and World Championship Wrestling. So that's my background. And there's a lot of similarity between what I did in wrestling and what my friends in film and theater are doing, because it's essentially theater. So with that as the premise, how many of you have a theater or theatrical background that lend to your on-screen performance?
yeah, I was a professional dancer, still am a professional dancer. So I grew up on stage with dance, and I did plays as a kid and things like that. So definitely theater, stage background in a lot of ways.
Wow, interesting stuff. Brandon, let's talk about this. And I didn't give away too much at the beginning of the show. Turbo Cola is again about Nick's character, Austin. And Austin, as I said, he had different plans for his New Year's Eve. Without us tipping the hat too much or tipping the bit, talk to me about how difficult it was to have Austin, his character, the character of Austin, remain human and likable while he's pulling off this, let's be honest with this underhanded bullshit.
That is exactly why we cast Nick.
Yeah.
We came down, and I remember specifically, we came down to 3.
Are you trying to tell me, Brandon, that he's a sneaky bastard?
He's likable. I'll say that.
Offset.
So we had it down to 3. Again, when Luke and I were casting, we got it down to 3 people, and one was sort of a studly kind of guy, very macho kind of guy, and he seemed like the kind of guy that, yeah, you could see Mary Jane with. And then, not that Austin said anything.
Oh.
This was a different actor.
Then we had another character that he wasn't very likable. He could pull off the role, but he wasn't a likable kind of person once you started to see him do some bad things. And then we were like, okay, I guess it's Nick. We still like him. You know.
Well, that's great. Well, that's a great segue. That's a really good segue.
Oh.
Yeah, we liked him the whole time.
The whole audition tape.
That's a very interesting.
I had a horrible
segue.
mustache today. It looked like I had leg hair growing on my face.
Well, Brandon, Luke, that's a very interesting segue. Would it have worked if you had an actor that wasn't likable? Could you have made that work? Because sometimes it will add to the realism
I
effect.
think they could have done a much better job. I think they missed it. I appreciate it.
Now, Nick, behind you, there's a young man that's been very quiet this evening.
That's
I'm going
the
to get
one
him
guy
to
that
speak.
matters.
with the I guess what is that, blue shirt? What is that?
Yes, it's a blue.
Yes. So you've been very ominously quiet back there. I have to get you to speak. Now, I'm praying that I did not screw up. You are a male, right? You're a guy, right?
That's correct. Yes.
Okay. Because I don't know, because you kind of look feminine over here, but it's all good. So tell me about your role in the film. What was your character, and give me a little insight into who you are.
So I have absolutely no business in front of a camera. I am a cinematographer, so I was responsible for, I suppose, the look of the film. I photographed the film.
Gotcha. Okay.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
All the camera
So
work.
you're the guy that's responsible. Let's talk to you, cinematographer.
Yeah.
Interesting. Okay. It had a very distinctive look, and in some parts of the film, and I encourage you to see it, the film is Turbo Cola, and it opens nationally today, right?
Tuesday it did.
Tuesday.
Okay.
Okay.
You are the cinematographer, so let's talk about the look of the film. I want to find out if I'm right about this, but my inkling is that it was deliberately dark in specific parts of the film. Was I right about that? It looked like it wasn't a lighting issue. It looked like it was purposely dark.
Yeah.
Can you tell me why you chose to darken certain scenes?
Well, Luke and I had a lot of conversations about the different films we were inspired by, films from the 90s, modern films that were set in the 90s, trying to think about what we wanted this to look like and how we wanted it to feel, what the mood was, because there's definitely some comedic moments, there's definitely some serious moments,
right?
And so trying to find that balance, and a big part of it was the location that we ended up in, which was this fantastic location.
Yeah.
But we were very limited by what that space looked like and what it felt like. And so, there was films that we talked about that we were inspired by, films that we talked about that we liked the look of, and then ultimately it came down to while we were there, how do you take something that is really kind of unpleasant overhead fluorescent lighting like you would find in a convenience store,
yeah,
and make it look cinematic and make it look dramatic and make it shift with the tone of the film as it's drifting in and out of these comedic moments, these heist moments, these caper moments into this serious sort of coming of age drama. And how do you make it feel cohesive and seamless, not like it's jumping around and it's crazy. And there's there's moments that are there's a dream sequence that's supposed to feel significant and it's supposed to kind of jump out at you. And so a lot of it was just taking all of those things, what we were working with, which admittedly was pretty limited.
There's one scene to me, and Brandon and Luke, maybe if you want to take this one or whoever wants to take it, but I'll go to you guys first. There's one scene in the film that, at least for me, summarizes the entire movie. It's a scene where Nick's character Austin is looking at this darkened store. The lights are very, very low. The camera is over his shoulder, and it's almost that anticipatory feel of what's going to happen next. Instinctively what's going to happen, but there's still a suspense element to that particular scene. You want to take that one, Luke?
Yeah. I mean, I think part of it is like you're not supposed to put a dream sequence in a movie anymore because it's very, very cliche and it should never be done. And so,
well, fuck them, do it, brother.
Right.
I went back and forth on that a lot, and eventually felt like we kind of needed the break. You know, we needed to go straight up metaphorical, embrace it, let Dennis flex a little bit with some really, really awesome lighting, and just break the tone of the movie. And I also wanted to kind of make people question, you know, the Y2K thing. Like, is everything about to go down? And then you tell them, oh, it's a dream sequence, everything is fine, but it's really not fine.
Yeah.
It's just not fine dramatically later. You know, it's not that we're going to go to an alien sci-fi movie. But I did kind of want to make people feel that, you know, for a second. And so that scene, you know, we look over his shoulder and he sees the ATM and you hear the sound of it. And the sound is of a printer printing money. You know what I mean? Like that's like really in there.
Well, the whole Y2K thing came to a crashing halt at the shot of a gun. So I want to get into the young man behind you there, Luke. Your character, young man. Yeah.
Hi.
Yep. The guy with the gun.
That's me.
Your character is pivotal. He's a kind of a loose cannon. You don't know whether he's unstable, whether this is an act that he's putting on. For you, taking on a character like this, were you aware of the deliberateness of his mental state?
Yeah, I would say that me as Landon was. I kind of went into it with an idea that Jimmy's all talk throughout the whole film, and the moments that you don't get those all talk moments, a little deeper, a little bit more grounded with that character, is when he's only with Austin alone. And so I kind of took the one scene where him and Austin are sharing a cigarette by the ice machine outside. It's just them two. That to me is kind of the whole book or the whole chapter of what Jimmy is about. It's just about Austin and his friendship, and he doesn't want to see his friend leave him behind. That's the human part of it to me. The rest of it is in front of all the other characters, you know? And so I think that's when he puts on a show. By the time the gun goes off, you see that show kind of, the curtains kind of drop, and you really see who Jimmy is underneath. And that's why we kind of wanted to put it more in a direction towards the end of, really, he's just scared. And he's a barking dog, you know. When
you just put your finger on it. It was when the gun goes off that you see his vulnerability. You see him for who he is.
Yes.
That was fucking brilliant. That was beautiful. I loved that scene. And in the process, you screwed up Mr. Morris's plans, you know, to have what. You're shaking your head, Nick. Talk to me.
I still think there's a different ending to this, you know, in my head.
Well, here's the thing, though.
Even at Mark right there, I think things will go different every time, but it never does.
Right? But here's the thing, though. You know, the premise is that Y2K is going to hit. You're hoping all the computers and all the electronics are going to, piss out somewhere. And you're just going to take this money and make a book for it,
and
right?
say bye-bye. Mm-hmm.
And never to be seen from again.
Yeah.
But that plan was interrupted with a bullet. He shortcuts the ATM machine. Short circuits the ATM machine.
Yes, it does.
There's money everywhere in different shapes and situations. I don't want to give too much away because it's fucking hilarious. And some of it's very poignant, but I laughed a lot. I will tell you that. I laughed a lot. And I sat there for a moment and went, oh shit, I didn't expect that to happen. And it's one of those movies that will do that for you. If you're looking for a movie that'll make you laugh, make you think, not too hard though, it'll make you react. And that's what movies don't do anymore. They don't make you react. And that's what I did last night in front of my television. I reacted. I went, these fucking kids are good.
Yes.
That's really good. I did too. I actually said that. These fucking
Yeah.
kids are good.
Yeah.
You know?
And there was a part of it that brought me back to my high school days was when all the pencils were in the ceiling. And I was like, that reminded me back of my high school days. Whose idea
Yeah.
was to do that in the film, part of the film, to do that? Because that was so brilliant to me, because that brought me
That was
back to my high
every
school
high
days.
school cafeteria in
Yeah.
the entire
And that was a
country.
classroom for me in my English class, because nobody liked that English teacher in senior year. So we all did that. Whose idea was to put that in the film?
So Sam wrote the play, and then I rewrote it with Matthew Kiss. That was his idea. That
That
all
was
him.
brilliant.
He even got the piece of drop ceiling and stuck the pens in it.
Yeah.
Oh, we just did like that. It was easier. It was fun.
Yeah.
That was brilliant. Go ahead,
Yes.
Amelia.
Yeah, that was so much fun, because it brought me back to my high school days and said, oh, I remember doing that to the teacher we didn't like. So here's one for you in the beginning of the year, and here's two more for the end of the year, because we didn't care, because we were graduating anyway. She couldn't take her diploma away. And by the end of the year, pretty much the whole ceiling was, and she didn't care. So
Yeah.
But
I'm going
that
to go
brought me
around
back
the
to-
horn on this one,
Uh-huh.
because this is kind of a fun thing I like to do when I have a group. Every actor is inspired by or wants to emulate their hero. I find it all the time when I interview actors and actresses, and we do quite a few on the show.
Yes.
So I'm going to start with Nick, since you're front and center, and then we'll go around the horn. Who inspired you to become an actor?
I mean, honestly, I took an acting 1 class my second semester of my senior year in high school, and I'd always been terrified of putting myself out there and trying to be an actor. And I quickly found I loved it, and the teacher gave me the feedback that I should give it a shot. Wasn't ready to go to school. I don't know if there was necessarily an actor who inspired me as much as I wanted to take the leap and try it myself. And that being said, I'm going to steal yours. I already know Ethan Hawke. Ethan Hawke has always been like one of my favorites. Him. See, now I'm mature. Yeah, I wasn't gonna say. he's a bigger Ethan Hawke fan than I am.
I've got other inspirations.
I mean, so many actors. I can't name one who I'm like.
Okay.
Christian
Mr.
Bale.
Spears, how about you, young man?
I actually I got my degree similar to you in sound design and music production. So I found film through Foley and that side of things. Foley performance is what I wanted to do in film. It was sound design, but there was a performance aspect to it, and that led me to that, and inspired me to work in films to begin with. But if I had to go way back, the actor that I've emulated my whole life, backyard, anywhere, was Harrison Ford. Indiana Jones was, and to this day is, like my absolute hero.
Jared, hold up for just a second, my friend. I'm up on a hard commercial break. We will be right back after this. Do you have sweaty balls or volleyball netty balls? It's time to make them ready balls. The Manscaped.com Lawnmower 3.0 will do the job and clean your knob with its patented no-nick head, so your head will function as desired. Enter promo code Wrestling Future for a generous 20% discount. That's enter Wrestling Future for a 20% discount. Manscaped.com and Wrestling with the Future, going balls to the walls with Manscaped.com and the Lawnmower 3.0. Your balls will thank you, and so will we. We are back, and that's our friends at Manscaped.com and a Wrestling Future for a 20% discount. Your balls will thank you, and so will we. Okay, so Brooke Maroon, you are up to bat right after a commercial for a male shaving grooming kit. Sorry, young lady. Our friends at Manscaped. So, how did you get started?
This is a tough question when it comes down to like heroes, but I feel like my whole life, again with dance and performance, I was just surrounded by performing and storytelling my whole life. And my mom and my stepdad actually owned a movie store that I worked at in middle school. So like DVD is kind of like a local blockbuster type thing. So I was surrounded by films, but didn't put the pieces together fully. And then I just realized with dance, I had to ask myself what I loved about it, and it was storytelling, and that led me to acting. So I don't have a person or like a celebrity or someone that I fully look up to that I want to emulate their career. There's a lot of people that I like what they do, but I'm most inspired by my friends and the people I'm surrounded with acting. They definitely push me the furthest.
Beautiful. And young man, how did you start?
So,
Who inspired you?
I guess kind of like Brooke, it was more of the surrounding that I was in than a particular person. Growing up, obviously, you know, with my mom being a stage actress, watching that, I think it was kind of a subconscious thing. And her showing me like all of like the classic 80s films growing up, you know. And so I was immediately hooked on films ever since, you know, I was a kid, and, you know, that was like our nighttime kind of ritual. So I think it was just more of the environment that I was surrounded by. With that said, I think every year or every couple years or every new piece of art that I see, I'm inspired by different people, and I continue to get inspired. So whoever inspired me like 5 years ago, maybe it's someone else now. I remember right when I was taking acting seriously, though, I did see Bradley Cooper do a movie called Words with Dennis Quaid, and his performance in that film really like shook me, and I could see like a male energy get really vulnerable, and there was something about that that really spoke to me that I was like, I want to do that. You know, I want to be vulnerable and express myself in this kind of a way. And for me, I think it was a vessel of acting because of the surroundings of growing up.
Well, I'll tell you what, you guys got a hell of a career in front of you.
Yes.
But if this is the tip of the iceberg, then you got a long way to go and a lot of work ahead of you. But it will be well worth it. I assure you, it will be well worth it. Take it from somebody that will be 64 shortly, and I will tell you that if you want to reach your dreams, they are just as far as your hand wants to go. All of you have careers ahead of you.
Yes.
Remarkable careers. Brandon, you have a background in the military and martial arts. Of all the things you could have done, you could have went anywhere you want, did anything you want to do. Why did you choose the film industry?
That I have to thank the Marine Corps for making me a workaholic. I am not a good retired person.
I hear you.
After the Marine Corps, I knew that I couldn't necessarily work for somebody else, so to speak, and you know, work in an office. And even though I tried, it just didn't fit me anymore. And I knew I needed to be my own boss. I did that for a while. And then after I had sold the school, I was like, you know, I think I want to do something else. What else is really hard to get into, especially at 48 years old? And oh yeah, I know. I'll go be an actor and a producer.
Absolutely. I could have got you into pro wrestling, babe.
Right?
There you go.
Weren't you a boxer at one time as well?
It is Amelia's favorite time of the show. This is where we get to play. We're going to show the trailer. Let's all take a look at the trailer.
Yes.
That must have been like seeing the face of God.
Yeah, man. It was right in front of me. All the money in the ATM.
Rondo's kid is sick. Why, he's working.
I don't really have a choice.
The biggest party in the history of this shitty town versus an extra $2 an hour.
Hey, $2 adds up over time. So at the end of the night,
We walk out the goddamn front door.
with $70,000 to $80,000 cold hard cash and a pop display.
That's what I'm talking about.
Yo, check this out. Where the fuck did you get a gun? Jimmy, put it away. There's
It's the
customers
end of
all
the
around.
fucking
They can
world,
show up
man. You
anytime.
gotta
Put
have
away the gun.
protection.
I don't need protection at the gas station. God damn it!
Hey, whoa! Jeez.
You think US Gateway may be Y2K compliant? Well, what about the airlines?
You ever think about that?
You think nothing's going on. Oh, you think I'm stupid?
Hey, Swearsky.
There's a lot of stuff stuck up there.
So, with 4 cameras, they've got it all covered. When they review the tapes, and they will review those tapes, there's gonna be plenty to see. Shit, motherfucker! But nothing to see.
It's gonna be total anarchy. It's gonna be fucking awesome.
I'm gonna call an ambulance.
No.
What?
Up by the high school.
What? No. He needs water.
I'll get him a turbo cola.
That's a really good idea.
What are you talking about?
Long night?
I'm fine.
There you go. That was
Hey.
the trailer for Turbo Cola. By the way, tell Mama Morris Big Daddy's got room at the crib. Beautiful.
I'll be sure to pass the word on there.
Who is that actress, by the way? I didn't catch her name.
I'm pretty sure Brando's already trying to get on that right now. In the movie.
Well, Brandon, let's take a look at your scene here. We're going to take a look at Brandon Keeton's scene right now.
Everyone hitting on my mom, man.
Hey, do you know my mom? Excuse me? She's 5'5", blonde woman. Supposedly hot.
Mindy Clearball?
Well, Morris, but yeah.
Of course. I know, Mitch. How is she?
She's good.
Hola.
Gonna win big there?
What?
Under the bottle cap. I won a hat last week.
Yeah, me too. I just haven't received it yet.
Well, your odds look pretty good. That's a lot of pop.
Yeah, it's for the party at the fallout shelter. I mean, really small, just a few friends, only sodas. You should come by.
Yeah, I'm not gonna do that. Say hi to your mom for me.
Beautiful. That was a very convincing portrayal of a police officer, Mr. Keeton.
I very rarely, and I don't know if I've told the cast this. I told Luke. I'm a martial arts instructor. I boxed for 18 years in the freaking Marine Corps. I've blown a lot of shit up. Done a lot of high octane shit. But I was actually absolutely petrified to share a scene with these guys because they were so good. I was intimidated for the first time in a very long time. So now you know.
Well, let's explore that for a minute. Is it difficult for you naturally to do something out of your element or out of your comfort zone? Is that hard for you?
No, because every 2 or 3 years in the service, you're moving and you're doing other things. You're doing something completely different than what you were doing before. And I think that's one of the things that led me to acting and producing is, when you own a business, you're even a small business anyway, you're basically there the entire time and nothing really changes so much. And I had grown used to, every 2 or 3 years doing something completely different. And I think that's one of the reasons why I chose to get into film and television.
Well, I'll tell you what, I am, on behalf of the cinema-going public, I thank you for making this career path. It's amazing. Who do we have? We have actually, in our chat room tonight, which I did not open up, in our chat room tonight, Stephen Plim is in our chat room. You guys don't know who Stephen Plim is. He is an entertainment manager and agent, and his famous client was Tiny Tim, among other people.
Nice.
Tiny Tim, Jerry Mathers, Adam West, and Joe Frazier. How would you like that for a lineup?
Yeah.
This guy had some heavy hitters, literally.
Yes.
Brandon, Luke, what's next for you guys as we wrap this up? Promote yourself, promote Turbo Cola, and then we'll go around the horn and see what everybody else is up to.
Well, we're like I said, we're released on Tuesday. As of last Tuesday, this past Tuesday, we're released on all digital platforms wherever you go to rent a movie. So Apple TV, iTunes, Dish Network, FiOS, On Demand, Amazon, Vudu, Google Play. Order us.
Yeah,
absolutely. You're
saw
on my
it
list.
Amazon the other night, and it was amazing. You guys, if you have Amazon Prime, get it now.
Yes,
Luke,
they're
what's
on
next
my
for
list.
Luke Covert? By the way, I love the name Covert Films. This is fucking great.
Oh, thank you. I had an uncle growing up who convinced me to use the name. He was like, "Dude, it's built in."
Mm-hmm.
Literally bought me the domain right in front of me. So man. I mean, there's like 3 different scripts that are in the works, and it's like a horror one, an action adventure one, and then a comedy one. And right now, it's just seeing who.
Well,
wants
if
to
you have any, if you have
fund another movie.
If you have a need for a mafia type, I'm your guy.
Thank you.
I'm the guy.
I'll give you a call.
Nick.
All right, and we'll talk numbers.
What's up next for Nicholas?
We'll see what happens. We don't really. I'm producing film this summer.
Okay.
Look out for that, and whatever's next is next. We'll see what happens.
Okay, my cinematographer friend, where are you going next?
Yeah, I got a couple of things. I'm working on a feature right now. I'm working on a TV series in India, which has been really exciting. And those are hopefully going to both be for Netflix, and so hopefully that'll be out soon.
Nice.
Jared, my buddy Jared.
Yeah.
What's up for you next, bud?
I've got a couple of shorts coming out. I recently finished filming my own personal solo project called Interment. Kind of an emotional horror story that I came up with during the pandemic. I'm the sole credit, so writer, director, actor. I learned camera work, cinematography. I'm currently learning editing, so I'm not sure when I'm going to finish it because that is way more complex than I could have imagined. So probably early next year that's going to come out. And then I've got a short film coming out in a couple months called Chicken Fingers, kind of a very heartfelt comedy coming out of the UT Master's Thesis program out in Austin. So.
Brooke Maroon, young lady, what's your next movie?
I have a couple features probably dropping later this year, but Landon and I are working on a project together that he wrote that I'm producing and acting in as well. So doing a lot.
All right. And young man, where are you appearing next, and where can people see you?
Well, this movie on Apple TV. Like Brooke said, I wrote a film last summer, and we've been working really hard at getting it up off the ground. And we've been producing it and taking meetings with executive producers and with the help of Brandon as well. So we're going to start production on that early September, I believe, if everything goes according to plan. But yeah, that's all we're working on right now. And
Prada. It's called Prada.
The movie is called Prada.
Yep. There's a cool teaser out there if you look up Prada movie.
Yep. Go check it out.
Yep.
Called Prada the Film on Instagram. You can check it out. Check out the trailer. To see kind of where we're going with it.
And Brandon Keeton, what's next for you, my friend?
Whatever Luke wants to do and whatever gets funded.
There you go. Absolutely.
There you go.
Well, I'll tell you what, it was an absolute blast to have the entire cast of Turbo Cola with us tonight. Thank you again, Brandon Keeton.
Yes.
I owe you my right and left testicle for this interview. I appreciate you. I'll hook you up with some manscaped.com. If
send me some Manscaped stuff. I'll send you some Turbo Cola stuff.
You got it. Absolutely. We can do that. On behalf of Luke Covert, Brandon Keeton, Nick and company, I am Mad Dog DeCipio for Amelia Pitbull.
Yes.
Chapman, I almost forgot your last name.
We're so intrigued with today.
We had a
Yes.
great time.
We
Take care, you
sure
guys. We'll see
did.
you next week. Be good to each other and say hi to mom. Bye, Nick.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.